And we are live. Let's wait for
Great. Hello,
Facebook.
everyone.
Yeah, it
So,
usually takes like a few minutes before everyone
but
gets some
they will
notification.
still see my welcome message in the recording.
That's true.
I wish people were able to organize into this, Q&A sessions, because so many of them are asking me on all the platforms and like, can I guys just arrange, a 6-hour webinar for you personally and just answer all your questions there?
Yeah, so I think we can do that. Maybe we can have like just a Q&A round of discussion. We can cover up all the questions and we can basically post that. So I think that will be pretty good. I think a lot of people will really like that. So we can do that.
If
But
there's anything new coming or something that I haven't yet replied or maybe missed, and then just at the end of this webinar today, we can take like a 5 minutes Q&A session.
yeah, definitely. Meanwhile, people are joining in, so we're just going to wait. Hey guys, if you're joining in, let us know. Drop in your hi. Let us know how is your day going on so far. We're going to be discussing about some very important stuff for ZRoom. It's going to be quite exciting. So make sure that you stick around. But at the same time, just let us know you're here. And we're just going to wait for a couple of minutes for Facebook to spread the word, basically. Hey, Luke, how's it going with you? Meanwhile, Vladimir, how many questions have you been answering since the launch?
More than 100 for sure. How many? I don't know, because the thing is, I'm still getting questions from our regular clients and those who don't even know about this lifetime deal. It's mostly companies from Russia, because we are marketing just, to keep our marketing campaigns separate. We only market there, since
Right,
you're guys responsible for the rest of the world.
right.
And people are asking there, and usually, Russian companies are more demanding, so it's might be a little bit more difficult to work with them, trying to satisfy their demand, but they're more loyal in this case. So if you build the loyalty, that's why I try to be very clear and transparent and try to help as much as possible.
No, right, definitely. That makes sense. So I guess people have joined in. Thank you so much, guys, for joining in. In today's session, we're going to be talking about one of the most sensitive topics that we are all really scared about, and we want to make sure that we are really safe as well, which is security. And recently, you might have heard things about Zoom, that they had a huge security flaw while they grew massively from 10 million users to 3 million users in just a matter of few months. But at the same time, they were also exposed with a lot of security issues that also dropped those millions of people right away. And at the same time, these are like some major concerns about the platform. So while they have one of the biggest reasons why people are still using Zoom is because of their ability to stream. And that's the reason why you see us right now using Zoom, is just because of the streaming features, because ZRoom is yet to deliver those features. And hopefully by June or July, anywhere between these months, we should have it, and we would be streaming every single day from ZRoom at that point stage, with all the amazing features coming out. But regardless of that, let's get back to the security aspect. Vladimir, can you tell me a bit more about how are you handling the security aspect, and how can you ensure that people who are going to be using the product, or they're going to be selling the product to the end user, how can they convince them to ensure that ZRoom is extremely safe as a product for video
Yes.
conferencing?
Yes, when we started working originally on the product, everyone heard about those. Um, well, maybe not everyone, but it was very specific, especially on the Russian market, for example, about government trying to ban Telegram. And we were, thinking about the architecture that would be, in theory, capable of resisting that, and making it all the banning and interception as difficult as possible. And then we came up with, as you know, we use this peer-to-peer currently, but that's only about videos. We still use, for the handshake, we still use servers. But then we came up with some modification of the usual handshaking protocol. I'm not sure if I need to go too deep into details here, because I know you guys are not really technical. But let's just put it like this. We were interested ourselves to make it independent from any third party, because we knew like some of our team members are still in Russia, and this is quite a concern, the security there, and not because of the hackers, but because of the government being a hacker there. There are even, maybe you maybe notice some limitations, like we don't have avatars when you turn off the camera, there are no avatars. We have already came up with a safe solution for it. The reason for it, like we want to keep the session as much anonymous as possible. You know, we don't have any signups, any downloads, but if we transfer information about, let's say, the email of the user to generate his avatar with Gravatar or any similar solution, we expose it. So we had to come up with a solution that is completely free. And there are many small issues like that. If any of those who is watching us have been using ZRoom previously, maybe like half a year ago at least, you remember we had this really cool feature that everyone liked, peephole. When you knocked the locked room, then everyone inside the room saw you and you were not able to see anyone. Then luckily we discovered a security issue there. So that feature is now brought down, but don't get disappointed. It will get up. It will get back. It's just disabled because we went, we started selling the product. So we wanted to be as secure as possible. So that feature, until we can guarantee it's not hackable. Of course, regular people were not able to do it. You had to be a specialist, but it was still theoretically possible. And there was a serious concern for us. That's why we decided to take it off for a while.
Awesome.
Just quickly about this peer-to-peer. As long as you, currently we don't have any network nodes that are multiplexing traffic, allowing hundreds of people in a webinar. So as long as you use this peer-to-peer setup, you may be sure, and I have already described this yesterday in my webinar, the videos are and audio streams are sent directly from a peer-to-peer. So server could be, let's say, in Germany, and if, let's say, you're in Japan and your peer is in Australia, you send the stream directly without any server.
So you're also saying that there is like end-to-end encryption where no one can just come in and try to break your connection, because that's something that a lot of people are really scared about in today's world, that I could be speaking with you on a call and then maybe some kind of hacker might be recording or might have got access. So you're saying that there is no such possibilities at all because of the P2P network connection bridges that have been built, right?
Exactly. That is because your browser, and that's why it is important to use a modern browser. Your browser provides this peer-to-peer encryption. Unless you are exposed, one of the issues that we may be covering in the future is that governments still can arrange man-in-the-middle attacks, and then they will be able to hack in. But we came up, based on what Telegram has done to fight it, we came up with a nice solution that we will, we don't want to prioritize it, but there is a solution how to solve even that, making man-in-the-middle attacks by the government or by third parties. Let's say you're on secure.
Can you maybe like highlight a bit more, maybe not going too much in depth, but just like touch basing so that more people get to know about the security aspects, which are again the most important aspects with the video conferencing softwares.
Do you mean in general in the industry?
Yeah, in general. And what are the precautionary measures that have been taken by like other companies, and what are the precautionary measures that you are taking right now to ensure that something like this is almost not possible at all?
One of our precautions that we seriously thinking about it and concerning, yeah, it will most probably be done, is that we want to open source our network node SDK, an internal an internal SDK that we use, so that any one of you guys, when you switch from peer-to-peer, because now there is no need for you to do any code analysis, the videos are exchanged between your browser. But as soon as you switch to more complex setups, you will be able to go on GitHub. If you don't know this yourself, you could hire a company that would do an analysis. Or if you're a developer yourself, you could analyze the code and see that this code doesn't do anything with your videos. And even to assure that that we are running the same code, we're planning to come up with special hash checks, hash sum checks, so that you would be able to assure it is the code from GitHub that is being run. So that our business scheme is not selling videos or emails or whatever other companies may be selling, because it's much easier and much more transparent, much more fair, just to earn, on features that we build. And we want you to be extremely sure that we don't even touch your videos. Well, we touch them. We will be touching them when we're processing them, like restreaming to Facebook, let's say. But what Facebook does with them, we don't know. But we want to show to you that we don't do anything. We don't train any neural networks on that. Your faces are not saved. No, we know that Facebook does it, but we will not, and because, well, working in another area, and this will be even stated in our privacy policy.
Brilliant. So I have one more question, especially when we are talking about processing. Does ZRoom also compresses any sort of video, like while doing the peer-to-peer network? So, for example, would it compress the quality of the video by any chance, or is it just going to stream depending upon how quick is your internet and how good is your camera quality?
That's a good question, because originally what we thought to do, since ZRoom and then later ZRoom, was a tool for communication only, just, daily communication. We struggled to compress it as much as possible, and we sometimes failed. So for some devices, it doesn't work. But recently we realized that the best would be to add an option, because some people, they only have one-to-one calls. Let's say it is a music teacher, and then that person should be able to disable any kind of compression and stream in the highest quality possible. On contrary, other people might need, let's say, a lot of people in a webinar or in a conference call and want to work it on mobile on poor networks, and then basically they turn this on. It will most probably be at the main setting to make it working, because otherwise it could be that half of people turn it on, half of people will not. So it will be at the main setting for ZRoom only. You won't have it on ZRoom. But what I mean is, you will basically be able to transition between compression and speed, or quality and just one-to-one calls to have high quality. Because musicians have specifically approached us. People working with teaching music or playing and ask us for that. So yes, can't tell you exactly the day when this will be released, but we have created a public changelog. I hope guys from PitchGround will publish it, so you will be able to follow. And we'll also cross-post to Twitter the same.
Awesome. Yep. So Richard is asking, doesn't open source increases the risk of malicious codes?
It's a dilemma. It's a good question, because if there is a mistake and no one intervenes, then it's a problem. But compare Windows and Linux. There are tons of 0 days vulnerabilities for Windows, like tons of them. You can just build castles of those bricks. For Linux, you barely find any, just because Linux it's built by the community, and the community watches it, so that no one builds in some crap there. So at one point, yes, we don't want to make it open source from day one because of different reasons, and different reasons really, not even related to the security. But when we get a community, and we hope to get it quite soon, thanks to the plugin marketplace, it will we think to make it open source, because then there will be external expertise of people who are interested in using the product and keeping it safe. Moreover, seriously, it's not about errors or 0 days vulnerabilities there. The code will be pretty simple, what we want to open source. It's about you being sure that we don't steal your video.
Right. But that leads to one very, very, very serious questions that currently ZRoom is also exposing their APIs, and that is also very serious when it comes to ensuring that there is right kind of security. So when a SaaS company is integrating ZRoom, for example, as their own preferred solution, and they've just rebranded ZRoom as their own solution, right? In this case, how do you ensure that, and what are the guidelines that you would like to recommend to those companies who are integrating the APIs? Because at that point of stage, when those APIs do exist, and since the APIs are public API, it gives hackers to get to know how the connections and requests are being sent.
You're probably maybe confusing a little bit. The public API doesn't mean it's open source. It's
no,
the
I'm not.
that is
Yeah, I'm not talking about the product itself. I'm talking about the protocol.
Yeah, I wouldn't say there is. It's pretty standard remote procedure call protocol. It's
So
small.
currently,
it's small, and I don't even see any place where you could hack in. Like, it's pretty small.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, it will grow, and the probability of a human error will increase there.
Right.
But well, how will we cope with that? First of all, testing, obviously, covering as many edge cases as possible, preventing crashes, because sometimes, not in our case, but sometimes code gets exposed on some sites when the site crashes, which is making it very interesting to go through their code that got exposed.
Okay.
But in general, I think the API will never get that big that it will be not really possible to test. It's quite straightforward because it's for room management, basically. So we already have everything that people asked about, and that's just 5 methods there with just a few variables. The API documentation, I want to apologize in front of those who may already looked at it, and it's not ideal, but we will polish it. As soon as I have time, I will complete it. But at least it gives you an overview of what and how is possible there.
Right. So you're basically saying you're ensuring that you have taken the required measures for those protocols, and the SaaS companies just need to ensure that things are properly tested on their end, because they could possibly get hacked, and that could lead to some issues.
If they are hacked, we always recommend to change your keys, but that's not just with this product, it's with any other product.
Yeah, I'm just talking about in general, not just with regards to this product. So the companies just have to ensure that whenever they're integrating any sort of API, they need to be really protective about the things.
I can give you, I know we're limited in time, but I can give you several hints. Like, first of all, don't save your keys to the repository, to Git, obviously. Not because it can go public, but because you can delete it from there without destroying the whole repository. When you ask to provide a salt, so-called cryptographic salt, make it as long as complex as possible. That increases its stability and decreases chances of hacking it. If you lost the key, don't share your secret key with anyone. Pretty obvious. If you get hacked, update the key. It's very easy. You go to back office, press regenerate key. It's done. Well, apply common sense, when working with systems.
Right.
Like this.
I still think like down the road, maybe you can just publish a blog post, keeping it like a general one, so that whenever someone is building up the tools, not necessary that everyone might be like a top-notch dev, right? They could build a solution, but building a secure solution does take a lot of time, and it does takes a lot of testing, right? So at that point, I think even if we just post like a general guideline-driven post in general, that can help people just secure their app overall, I think that can definitely help out a lot of people who come down the road and start using the ZRoom, especially when they start integrating the API integration, which is going to be the key aspect, and that's going to be like one of the key integrations that they will be working upon for their application.
As long as they maintain the security of the secret key, we take care of the rest, basically.
Awesome,
So
perfect.
they can get hacked on their side, but if the key is secure, they can be sure the video will not be compromised.
Awesome. So we have a question from Darren, and he's asking, how secure is this? His wife is a physiotherapist, and she uses online tools, so no need to evaluate if this is a good. So he needs to evaluate if this is a good fit for his wife.
Yep. For an online therapist, it's the therapist is always working one-to-one or at maximum 1-2, like a patient and his close. In this case, I suggest you always use peer-to-peer configuration because later it will be possible to switch on ZRoom. So if you continue using it, always stay peer-to-peer. This will give you maybe even better performance since you're one-to-one only, and you will assure it is safe. If you can contact me and like share, maybe if you have any specific concerns, not the video, but something else, security concerns, I can, or mention this in the chat, I can answer you. But regarding the video and audio and the text you type in the chat, you can be fully safe that it no one sees it, except of the government, of course, that can do man-in-the-middle attack, unless you stay on peer-to-peer mode. But if you have some specific concerns, like what if my IP address will be exposed? Yeah, I can talk about it, but we're a little bit limited in time, as I know. So regarding the videos, it's safe. If you have any deep question, like, well, you got it, guys. Won't repeat it.
Okay, perfect. So next question is from Justin. He was asking, I have a question right off the bat. On the setup page, it reads domain where you would like to run your white label. Please do it carefully. This action cannot be undone. So Justin, you don't have to worry about it. I think we did cover it in brief in yesterday's webinar, that this is just temporary because the reset feature for the seat is not done yet. So that should be out before the end of this month. So
Yep.
I think by the end of this month, basically, so you would be able to reset your seat. So let's say if one of your customers stop paying you, then you can simply reset the seat and you can allocate that seat to anyone else that you want. So
Absolutely.
when you buy 10 seats, you get that 10 seats for life. So how you use it, how actively use it, that's completely up to you. And if you have more number of customers that you're selling to, then you can definitely stack your quote at that point of stage, depending upon your needs and depending upon how you're able to sell to your audiences and how quickly you can sell to your audiences right now.
Yep.
Let's move on to the next question. So William is asking, though I answered, but I'm just going to ask the question over here. He just tested the app, and upon clicking the exit button, does it completely stops the ongoing session?
Your session as a user connected to a signaling server, a server that does handshakes, is not broken. But but your connection to everyone in the room is completely stopped. Yes. The reason connection to server is kept is that if you decide to get back, it is just a little bit faster because the connection is already established, and you get a handshake with the server. So it will be like a couple 100 milliseconds faster.
Do you think is it possible to add and another button that says end session completely?
Close the tab.
Okay. No, but other than that, is there like a button that makes it very obvious for people?
Yeah, I see. Look, if a person wants to break a connection with the server completely, this means the person is done for today, or I mean, the session is done. They close the tab. It's. I don't think there will be a button. It will confuse people, raise more questions.
Okay, all right.
Just for you to make it share, I can assure you here that when you press exit, it's just the so-called heartbeats that are, you exchange heartbeat signals with the server, so that the
Right.
server knows that you're alive, so that the server could easily like basically when you ask to get into a room, the server could do it quickly. We don't send any background data or whatever. But if you want to be super safe, close it. It's like, you know, with people sticking their cameras on the mobile phones, just close it.
Perfect. So there's a
Power off it.
question. So there's a question from William. He's asking how long is the LTD, and can different domains be mapped to seats? Um, William, we have a limited number of licenses. So until that licenses are sold out, the lifetime deal would be available. So if you think you need it right now, I would recommend you to get it. If you, but it's going to be around for some time. So depending upon your needs, you can grab it right away. And yes, you can definitely map different domains to your seats. So when you get 10 seats by default with your first purchase, you can map up to 10 domains at that point in stage. And if you need more subdomains, then that's completely up to you.
Yep. You can even map the domains themselves. Today I was helping one person who, yeah, he didn't participate in this lifetime deal, just bought a license. But in his case, he wanted to bind his main domain, not a subdomain. But judging by the fact that you guys don't those everyone who got the deal, don't ask me. You're pretty skilled in that, so I guess you know how to do that as well.
Right, perfect. So William is actually asking another interesting question based on his first question. So he's saying that sometimes people can accidentally just close their tab. Sometimes it can happen. So is it possible for you to add some sort of a JavaScript modal or maybe something where we are asking them for a confirmation? Do you really want to close the tab, and then giving them option yes or simply cancel?
As far as I remember, you can only inform a person, you can't interrupt. I will check that. But it is not really needed, because if you as a host close the session is kept for 3 hours in your local storage, so-called local storage. It's not cookies, it's like a site-bound storage in your browser. So it's enough to reopen it, you know, press Ctrl+Shift+T and you're back. You don't need to authenticate or whatever, you're a host again. So yeah, we can edit, but if a person mistakenly closed it, just reopen it. You will have the session. It's not a big deal.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah, well, I can.
I think just making it easy for users would be a lot more better.
Yeah, it is fine. Let me write it down. Oh, do you write it down? Do you have the list of questions? I'll just.
No, I think you can possibly write it down. And,
okay.
Yeah. So, guys, if you have any questions about the security or about the product in general, please do let us know. We're taking up the questions, and we want to make sure that all your questions are fully answered. And when you're making your purchase, you need to feel safe about your purchase, and you need to feel safe about your product, which is the number one priority for us. So just make sure to ask us any other questions if you have.
I would like to emphasize a good couple questions today, just so while you guys are listening. If you want a trial, you're unsure how it works, or whatever, get a free. Go use a free version. The free version is currently it has all the same features as the paid one. The paid one is just, you know, white labeled, and it will have upsell capabilities in the future. But if you want to test it, don't ask me for a trial. Go use a free version. If you want to have a trial on the back office, don't ask me for a trial. Sign up for the back office. It's completely free. I don't ask for a card or anything. Just, you know, your email and it's done. And you play around with the editor. You see all the options. Basically, that's your trial.
Awesome. So David is asking if he can jump on the video call. Yeah, sure, David. Let me just send you a Zoom link so that you can join in, and we can take up just a few more questions before we wrap up the session. Meanwhile, guys, make sure to ask all your questions. We are here to answer all of them. Mm-hmm. I think David is joining in.
hear him.
Meanwhile, what are the other precautionary measures one should take when they're just doing a video streaming in general? What are the security measures they should
In
take?
general, have you ever read what this incognito mode message in some browser says? It's like, check that there is no one behind you.
Yeah, I think there have been like some GIF floating around with people not being used to working from home, where people accidentally just went to their restroom, keeping the video on, didn't realizing that the video is still on. Some people are like having their family members going around back and forth and everyone in their like random presses. So it's been like a very like funny things that have been like floating around because of the whole like work to home culture, because like I said, right now no one is used to working from home. They're used to like going to the office, sitting in a professional space and then working basically.
Okay, hello, David. You're muted.
Hello, can you guys hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Is the audio okay? Very good. So maybe I should share my screen again.
Okay, good.
Let me see if I figure out to do this. Recent chat. Do I have permission to share my screen?
No, I'll have to push you to a panelist. Hold on. So you might get kicked out for a minute.
It's okay. Hello. So I'm just jumping in right now. I'm not sure if you talked about this, but let's say a security concern. You guys can hear me right now? Yeah. So a security concern I have is, okay, so you can create a room by just coming here and typing a name, right? As you can see you can see my page. So that's the typical workflow. So I'm guessing that anyone can jump on the call.
No, true, but yeah, but if you can, first of all, you can lock it just with the lock. Second, if you have an API integration, you already can lock it even with the password. Then password lock will also be available for regular interface users. So there are several mechanisms.
Right. So you can simply click on more.
Yeah,
just go back.
Sorry, I just closed this.
Yeah, no worries. You can rejoin. You don't need to type test. You can.
Yeah. Nice.
Okay. Yeah, Vladimir made sure of that. So you can just click on plugins.
Okay, plugins.
And then look for lock your room.
Lock your room. Okay, so I would have to install this.
Yeah,
and this plugin is room specific.
Yep.
Yes. It locks the room.
Okay.
So now you can simply click on lock. So it's open right now. So just click on lock or just click on the open button. It's on the
open lock. Okay, so let me try to see the behavior of this on a new window. So I would go to the page.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say I'm a guy trying to snip in, and I don't know, whatever. And his microphone off. So, listen. Whatever.
Listen only, just
whatever.
This is to find. You'll be able to initialize, but you won't be able to enter. Just press get in.
Get in. The room is locked. So if the room is locked, how do I invite people to come in?
Again, there are two types of locking: lock with the lock, and lock with the password. If you lock with the password, this feature isn't available for API only, but again, it will be very soon available for. We just need to come up with a good interface, and then a person will be asked. Unfortunately, you can demo it, but if you, well, it will basically look like it will say the room is locked. If you know the password, please enter it below. And there is OK and cancel. If you cancel, you cancel. If you're OK, it tries to log in with the password. If it fails, you get back. If it succeeds,
so right now you have to it's like you're locking a door in, and when you open, anyone can come, right?
Yep.
Okay. Are you going to say something, Judith?
Yeah, Vladimir, actually have a feature request over here that can actually make things a bit more easier. So how about we add a small feature like Zoom, where we have an invite button, and when the room is locked, it can create a unique link, which is session based only, where people can simply join in at that point, so without requiring like any sort of
That's
password
beautiful. Yeah.
or any sort of things.
That's very interesting. Let me, how can I bring Zoom back and, okay, write it down. That's a cool idea.
See, I just gave you a nice feature request.
Continue.
Because sometimes what happens is, that when you're doing webinars, it can get a little frustrating for people to kind of like enter the password and everything. It can become a little too technical for them. So just having a session driven unique link that he can send out, which is only valid for this particular session. I think this can make a lot of things a lot more easier for
I think it's actually quite simple to do, because the session is already kept for what I've described, like when you reload a page or something. Right. Good. Yeah. Thanks for the idea.
There is one more thing that you can. Sorry, Dave. Go ahead.
Go ahead, please.
Yeah. So maybe there is a possible extension to this feature that you can add. Is something that is required by a lot of webinar users. Is ability to create this inside the dashboard itself, which is create a unique link for the session, and then making that session from X time to Y time. So this way, let's say that I'm scheduling a webinar for after 72 hours. Now I'm sending an email to everyone. And then if someone tries to click on that link prior to that date, it will simply say that the session is not active yet. And
we already have such a setup with one of the clients. And what they are using is they have an API wrapper. We may add this functionality, but we're not, primarily a webinar. And I would like to emphasize, we're not a webinar tool. We will have this webinar features added more and more, but primarily that's not what we focus on. But all this, what you've described, is easily doable through the API, right. Through the API wrapper.
Even if there is no webinar feature, but this can actually make things a lot more easier. So let's say when Darren asked the question about how secure things are for his wife to use the platform, I think when his wife would be sending out the link to her client, right? At that point of stage, her client wouldn't require her to give any sort of password or enter any sort of password. So at that stage, if the meeting is scheduled, let's say after 3 days, then she can simply create a unique link and say that this meeting is active for this time to this time.
There is, if you're working with passwords, you can send it with you can still log in. If any of you guys tried our Slack integration and has seen help there, it explains how the password is used. So you can basically, the end user doesn't need to input any passwords. You can send that person a link already. It's not the session link again, but it's a kind of hub solution that you can already use. I know that password lock-in is only for API users yet, but stay tuned. This is will be fixed very soon because people are asking.
Awesome. Dave,
something else? Yeah, thank you very much. So I was also wondering, slightly related to security, but okay, so I have a page like this and pretty much, okay, this is not the page. The main page is like this. So anyone can come here and just generate a room, right?
Yep.
That's pretty much how it works. But what if I don't want to give access to everyone?
Let's think. First of all, when we're talking about peer-to-peer, you don't really pay for them using it, and it doesn't cost anything. If you use a more complex solution, then only a host will be able to enable it. So if they enter it, they will never get access to any of your paid network nodes. Let's call them that way. We haven't, that's the first time someone asked about such a limitation. Maybe, we can add a setting that will simply block the main page so that the host could only, create. If you have any ideas, because no one really asked.
Yeah, I mean, there's one limited resource, and that's the namespace. That's one thing.
Well,
there's a second one.
Someone can, of course, spam you, but if
yeah.
If we'll think about it. I don't have any answer, unfortunately.
There's a second problem, which is, let's say you just don't want anyone hosting any kind of calls on your domain. You don't want,
True.
I don't know, maybe you don't like, I don't know, vegetarians. And I'm just joking. You don't want them on your, let's say, you know what I mean? You don't like, let's say you don't like Americans. So yeah, I don't want Americans on my room. So I don't want everyone to have access. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I got what you mean. Let's let us think on what's the best way to solve it, because I just from the top of my head I can offer, you know, like blocking the main page, introducing a key for hosts, but that all is just a quick solution that from the top of my head. Let me write it down.
So the main idea with this is that if you offer a limited platform, you have higher perceived value, because if you tell someone, I can come up to someone and let's say I want to help a not-for-profit organization, and I want to reach out to them and say, hey, listen, you can use our platform. It's free for you. But then they see, oh, but this is open to everyone. What do you mean? It's not like we are special or anything. So you have this, you know what I mean? It's not about selling, but it's much higher perceived value.
I know what you mean, but imagine that non-profit organization starts using your domain, right? They will be promoting your brand. They can instead go to go to ZRoom, and that's why I tell everyone, if you are not sure, just go to ZRoom, be our free user. We also need those, because you will be promoting our brand. So you shouldn't be really worried about that. But I got your concern anyway, so that you don't want undesired people.
It's mainly that, and also the namespace. Also, the namespace can be a bit of a problem. Can get crowded. The namespace can get crowded. And then people are starting especially with the way it works, people want to start a room and they just jump in like a party, you know? Some people doing whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think
striptease or something.
I think definitely there's a lot of measures that we can possibly take. And I think there a lot of ideas can be floating around for the same. But I think we can probably discuss this after the call, so that we can probably like brainstorm a lot of things and just keep improving the product and keep on adding more things as well.
I just 30 seconds. I would be more, concerned about people building your site into an iframe, but we already have a protection in the back office, if you've seen it, that you can disable if you need. So if you by default would try to incorporate it in someone else's iframe, it will show an error unless you allow it. So, but if people just create rooms on your domain, then again, they're promoting you. But I got it. I got your point.
You mean that because, I noticed that option here. So yeah, the option is somewhere here on settings, and it's by default repel iframe attacks.
Yes.
So you mean actually the room is like white? It's like it's not branded. So they could actually use an iframe. This part is not branded here when you are inside the room already.
Yeah,
as far as I understand.
No, but you can still brand this. Well, no, you can brand everything.
You can still brand. Okay. Yeah, I guess. Yeah. Somewhere here on the options. I didn't check that yet. Very good.
Of course you can brand everything. No. This question sounds like an insult to me.
No, I'm really sorry.
I'm kidding, man. No, of course you can brand everything. Absolutely everything.
Very good.
Message boxes, even whatever. You just go through all the options. And
you're the branding master. I apologize. I bow down to you.
We will add more because today I got an inquiry from one Russian company. They asked such really specific tuning that I had to say no because I usually say yes. But if we don't take that into account, we will increase the branding possibilities. Like the copies, for example, that you can change the main copy, but later on you will be able to change even more. Okay, Udit, sorry for
copies. Okay.
For this.
Awesome. So there is a question from William. He's asking, how about blocking the IP addresses? Are there any possibilities of adding like a block feature maybe and then blocking them on the basis of IPs?
A great idea, and I will write it down directly, and I will tell you how we will build it.
Okay, so moving on to the next one. William
Yeah.
is saying,
Oh, I haven't replied.
oh, okay. I thought that was it. Okay.
It's impolite, to people who are watching.
Okay.
Sorry. Yes, this will be in a form of a plugin. So you install plugin and you blacklist IP addresses. And when it's on, people will not be able to connect to you, basically. That's how it will work.
Brilliant. Awesome. So Willem is saying Webinar Jam actually added a nice new feature, which is actually really very funny. So he said that they have recently added a solo shutdown attendee feature, which means that root attendees can speak, but no one can hear them actually.
That's YouTube style. That's the way they ban commenters.
Yeah, that's a nice way.
That's a funny thing. It's we'll see if more people demand it. There is a quick way to build it so that a host would be able to mute a person, so that person will speak but no one will hear it. Like a host will be able to mute a person. Let me write it down.
Awesome.
But I don't promise it soon. It's like a funny feature.
Yeah, I think the first priority should be ability to reset the seed before anything else. Awesome. Is there any other question, guys, before we wrap up this session, as we are already running a bit over time? So I just want to make sure that we have covered every single possible questions. So let us know if you have any. Dave, once again, thank you so much for joining us live once again.
No problem. It's a pleasure.
And your mic is really very sexy.
I might have another question.
Yeah, sure.
Go on.
So there's kind of a limitation that is not, we talked about the fact that it's not hard coded. And I was wondering, like, what if more people start joining? Does it reduce the quality of the call? Like if you go over 9, 10?
Lock the room. That's it.
That's it. Okay. Okay.
Yeah. And I think once the session-based links are ready, I think that will also make things a lot more easier, because then you can simply create a link just like how you do it in Zoom and send it out to anyone, just like I send it to you, and you just join in right away without requiring any sort of password or anything. Then I think that's something that can be possibly implemented. So that should be a pretty cool one, to be very honest with you, making it easier for people to join in.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Very good.
Awesome, Dave. Thank you so much.
One last thing that I thought about. One last idea.
Go on.
Do you think, I thought about this, shouldn't we be able to see which rooms are active in our domain? So
yes,
you have an idea of how it's being used.
Yes, this feature it is actually already there, but you can use it through API. Again, it will be in the back office. It will be in the back office. So you go into the back office, you basically click in the domain, and there will be a tab or something showing like active rooms and number of participants.
I think, Vladimir, I have a better option. Maybe you can add like an analytics column, for example, and then just show the data over there. I think that will be a lot more easier. So for example, how many active users there, how many people attended in the last 24 hours, 48 hours, and like those. So giving this data is basically going to be helpful for someone like Dave, who is a marketer, so that when he's promoting his product, he can always say that the product is currently being used by X number of people. That also helps with regards to the marketing purposes.
If you ever worked with Stripe from Europe, you face the problem of VAT, and Stripe explicitly tells you, guys, we are a payment gateway. If you would need to solve your problems with VAT, here are the companies we recommend. So it's somewhat the same. If you want, those email invitations or some other stuff people ask me about, something that is done through the server, we would probably recommend to use our API instead. Because we don't want to add, features from the whole universe into the product. The product is specifically about this. And online analytics is fine. It will be there. It is already there, but it will be in the back office. Offline analytics. If you need offline analytics, build a simple API wrapper. You have an offline analytics. Maybe we will even have a plugin for that, so that you can connect to some storage, let's say Google Drive, and this analytics will be done there, something like this. But that's for a call. But I would not. I don't think that's the direction we will go. Online analytics will be there, yes. Offline, doubtful. At least for now, at least how I envision, our development.
Amazing.
We want it to be flexible, but we don't want to build all the features. That's why we have this plugin system, so that if a person needs this or that feature, they can simply add it from a plugin, keeping the core product very light.
Very good.
Yep.
Awesome.
Thank
you so much.
Thank you for your questions.
Thank you, Yuri.
We're gonna be having a lot more sessions on Monday, so don't worry, we'll be covering up a lot more questions, and I'm pretty sure that as you start using the product, you'll probably be more excited with regards to more questions, though. Awesome, Dave. Thank you so much for joining in, guys. I guess we pretty much answered all the questions. To people again who are asking why are we using Zoom? The reason why we are using Zoom is because ZRoom doesn't have the live streaming feature where you can just live stream directly. It's a video conferencing software, which is the reason why. If you want to go and test out the software and have a word with your friends, family, business colleague, lead, anyone, then you can simply test out the app on xroom.app. So you can go over there, test out the software as you want, speak over there for an hour. I think I was with one of the person today. We spoke briefly about so many things for an hour. Worked absolutely flawless. So just go out there, test the software, and again, it doesn't have live streaming features. So that's the reason why we're using this at the moment. So I hope we have answered that question.
Can I add something? I'm not sure if this is appropriate, but if anyone wants to send me a message, but I'm a real user, I'm using this, I'm pretty excited, they want to test, I also can answer any questions. So yeah.
Awesome.
I actually will have a question to you regarding your yesterday question. I would like to confirm with you that this second domain would be appropriate and would be like, I just want to, agree with the name.
I think you're talking about the white label CNAME, right?
Exactly, because we have a solution. We just need to select the domain that will satisfy you. I thought I wanted
please.
Call it like whitelabel.org or something like this, but then would they just come up and say, no, this is white label. Everyone would know it's white label. They will Google and file ZRoom. And like, no, I bought it in vain.
Let's go. Let's see that.
So yes, if you can contact me, just to add for the future, if you have inquiries as well.
Yeah, I think Dave, what would be ideal would be if you can just drop your Skype, and I think possibly after the call,
Skype. No one uses Skype anymore.
Well, whatever we are using, I think what I'll do is
I use ZRoom now. Jesus.
No, I was talking with regards to having a chat or something so that we can communicate, and then we move on to ZRoom,
I'm joking.
So what I'll do is I'll possibly create like a Facebook group or something with like you, me, and Vladimir, and I think we can discuss about a lot of possibilities in terms of features and stuff. And also I think Vladimir, you should get the Facebook group up and running for ZRoom so that people can join in, and we can also start that would also make it a lot more easier to have a lot of discussions, and we can start dropping more teasers and everything.
And a lot more support for me, right?
That's the part of growing any SaaS,
Yeah.
Awesome. So thank you so much, Dave, for joining in. We really appreciate you being on the call once again. And I guess we have pretty much answered all the questions. There's just one last question from William again. How to charge for sessions? William, what you can do is you can charge for a seat. So you can probably use any sort of payment gateway or a card system that you're using. Remember, this is going to be automated by October as per the roadmap from Vladimir. So down the road, you will simply be able to add, let's say, your Stripe API key, and you'll be able to connect, and your customer is going to get delivered his seat automatically. But until that is done, you can probably use any sort of card, get the payment from your customers, access your ZRoom agency dashboard, white label dashboard, set up a seat over there, and simply set up a custom domain and ask your customer to point and update his DNS and his CNAME. That's it. That's the only thing that's required. Once that is done, then you're all good to go, and the person can start using the software right away. So I hope that answers the question. If there are any other questions, please let us know, as we have already surpassed the time. So but we again want to make sure that we have answered all the questions. So just
Again,
wait for 5 seconds.
I once again want to apologize if I don't reply to you guys in the comments or by mail instantly, or like within even 3-4 hours. It's because I have other people in the queue. I will reply to everyone. If I don't reply to you within, let's say, 3 business days, just ping me and say, Vladimir, hey, you forgot about me. I have a question. And yeah, I'm super sorry. Like lots of people are asking.
So William, with regards to charging people for conferences, I think what we can do is I'll ask Vladimir to open up a Facebook group, and maybe we can start floating ideas about around how you guys can charge in different ways with your customers. And depending upon that, maybe if you guys have any like specific feature requests, then maybe we can take it up and put it up into the roadmap, as long as it aligns with the vision of the product. So we'll be doing that, and as soon as the group is made, I'll ask Vladimir to update me so that we can post and let everyone know that the Facebook group is live, so that then we can start having these discussions on a daily basis, and let everyone know about what's going on as well.
Just like 10 seconds about the roadmap. What the roadmap we've published is the general roadmap. It only contains big parts. I didn't intentionally put any small things there that we plan, because we want to have the flexibility to toss them around, to move it forward or backward when we need. Those are just the big points, are reference milestones for you. So you make sure RTMPS, big rooms, reselling, marketplace. Those are like milestones. Tons of small features will be coming. We created a changelog. You will, if David can demo it, you can go to dashboard, for example. Thank you, David, for
I can show you.
Well,
let me see.
Just go to dashboard.
Dashboard, yeah.
What should I do? Red number 1 close to domains.
Here?
If you click,
yeah.
No, the red number itself.
I should click the number? Oh yeah, I have to be precise. Very good.
Exactly, yeah. So you will get latest changes automatically here. You will also be able to read them in a site. Yes.
Okay.
Awesome.
Very good. So this is the first one. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
you will see the first things updating here already during this weekend.
Awesome, brilliant. Thank you so much for implementing that so very quickly, Vladimir. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, I'm interested. The next thing will be the knowledge base, because people are asking similar questions. I want them, to just go check it out and only ask me if they have any specific things. Right. Otherwise, I won't have time, for development if I will just mailing everyone.
Awesome. All right. Thank you so much, Vladimir, for pushing that very quickly. Guys, so as we're running out of session, so I'll be wrapping up this session. Dave, once again, thank you so much for joining us. Vladimir, thank you for coming on the call once again and sharing all the details about the security and stuff. We're very excited to start our webinar series from next week as well. And at the same time, I would really love to see the first test run of the RTMP next week, which is going to be really, very exciting. So hopefully we'll be able, hopefully we'll be able to showcase that and do some live test runs with some nice cool stuff that you showed me earlier, which I'm not going to talk about right now, and we're going to talk about it once we actually go live. So it's really cool what he did. So again, we're going to be talking about a lot of those things. Plus, we need to have a little bit of excitement. So I'm going to leave that part completely on you guys to keep thinking what that exactly is. So thank you so much for guys for joining in, and you guys stay safe. Enjoy your weekends, even though everyone is working from home. Just make sure you take some breaks and stay safe, everyone.
Yep. Thank you, everyone. Bye.